The biggest threat to SB19 Skeptics is not another hit song. It is the microphone. When the backing track gets quieter, choreography gets harder, and five voices have nowhere to hide, SB19 keeps giving audiences something studio production cannot manufacture: vocal identity under pressure. From the Grammy Museum to Japan and Lollapalooza, their live performances are forcing a different question. Should perfection matter more than authenticity? Because for SB19, the cracks, breath, power, and emotion may actually be the proof. Like, share, and subscribe for more. The real battle surrounding SB19 is no longer whether they can sing. It is whether audiences believe what they are hearing when the production gets stripped back. Modern pop is built on sophisticated studio techniques, multiple takes, vocal comping, pitch correction, layered harmonies, compression, and carefully engineered mixes. None of those tools automatically make a recording fake. They make a recording polished. But a live stage operates under completely different rules. A singer has to breathe, move, react, recover, and deliver the next line in real time. That is where credibility is earned. SB19's strongest performances matter because the group repeatedly places its vocals inside demanding performance environments rather than relying entirely on studio polish. The important point is not pretending production support never exists. It is recognizing when five performers can still command attention when production cannot carry the entire performance. That is the standard skeptics are increasingly being forced to judge. Raw doesn't mean perfect. It means exposed raw vocals are often misunderstood. Raw does not mean every note must land with mathematical perfection. It means the audience can hear the performer rather than only hearing the finished product. That distinction is crucial with SB19. A technically flawless performance can still feel empty if it lacks dynamics, character, tension, or emotional connection. Meanwhile, a live performance may contain audible breaths, slight tonal changes, natural vocal strain, or tiny variations in pitch while still demonstrating impressive control. Those details can actually reveal the human mechanics behind the performance. SB19 benefits from that because the five members have distinctly different vocal identities. Pablo, Stell, Josh, Justin, and Ken are not supposed to sound interchangeable. Their contrasting tones, deliveries, harmonies, and rap approaches create the group's character. The goal is therefore not five voices chasing identical perfection. The real achievement is five different performers maintaining musical cohesion while dealing with the pressure of a live stage. That is vocal credibility, not manufactured perfection. The biggest choreography test: singing while your body is fighting you. One of the easiest ways to underestimate live singing is to ignore what the body is doing at the same time. Standing behind a microphone and singing a difficult passage is one challenge. Singing while moving through demanding choreography creates an entirely different physical problem. Movement changes breathing patterns, posture, muscular tension, and breath support. Fast choreography can also raise heart rate and make controlled phrasing more difficult. That is why dance-heavy performances can become an unofficial stress test for vocalists. SB19 operates directly inside that pressure. Their performances require singing, rapping, dancing, timing, facial expression, crowd interaction, and constant coordination between five people. Their DUNK connection is particularly significant because the Japanese project places dance and vocal performance at the center of its identity, bringing artists from different scenes together. The Grammy Museum performance matters because it placed SB19 inside an environment where the music itself becomes the focus. The group performed wakas there, and Billboard publicly drew attention to the fact that the members' microphones were fully on. That detail became powerful because it gave audiences another way to evaluate the group beyond heavily produced recordings. The important distinction is that a live microphone does not magically make a performance perfect. It does something more valuable. It makes the performers responsible for what comes out of their voices in that moment. Every breath, transition, harmony, and change in intensity becomes more meaningful. For skeptics, that changes the argument. Instead of endlessly debating what might have happened inside a studio, viewers can focus on an actual performance and judge its vocal presence for themselves. SB19 did not need to demonstrate that they were incapable of imperfections. They needed to demonstrate that when the production takes a secondary role, the voices still have enough character and control to hold attention. That is a far stronger test of credibility. Why the first take format is so dangerous for vocalists. The first take is dangerous precisely because it removes excuses. Its defining concept is brutally simple: a microphone, a white studio, and one take. SB19 became the first Southeast Asian artist to appear on the format when they performed Gento, turning a song known for its energetic performance style into a stripped-back vocal presentation. There is nowhere to hide behind a giant stage production. No elaborate concert spectacle can become the main attraction. The camera stays focused on the performers, making vocal tone, phrasing, harmony, timing, and interaction much easier to notice. That is why the phrase SB19 sang live is not enough to describe what makes the appearance significant. The more important point is that they entered a format deliberately designed to expose the performance. Even there, the objective was never to reproduce a studio recording with robotic precision. The challenge was to make the song work through human voices in a controlled but exposed setting. That is exactly where vocal excellence separates itself from perfection. For years, debates around idol vocals have been trapped in the same cycle. Are they really singing? How much backing track is being used? Were the vocals edited? Can they reproduce the studio version? Those questions matter, but they become meaningless when the same debate follows every performance. The stronger question is what happens when SB19 repeatedly performs under completely different conditions. Japan demands a different audience response. Philippine concerts bring enormous fan expectations. American festivals introduce listeners who may know nothing about the group. Television and industry showcases create their own pressures. One impressive clip can be dismissed as an isolated moment. A consistent pattern is much harder to dismiss. By 2026, SB19 had expanded its live footprint through international stages, including DUNK in Japan and Lollapalooza. Their credibility is therefore no longer resting on one viral performance. It is being built through repetition, variety, and the ability to deliver when the environment keeps changing. Lollapalooza was the ultimate stress test. Lollapalooza was not simply another entry on SB19's growing performance schedule. It was a completely different test because the group had to introduce itself to people who were not already invested in the fandom. Teen Vogue noted that the members understood many festival-goers would be casual listeners who did not already know SB19. That changes everything. A devoted audience already knows the lyrics, personalities, choreography, and biggest moments. A festival crowd owes you nothing. You have limited time to create an impression, enormous competition around you, and thousands of people who may be hearing your music for the first time. SB19 also made history as the first Filipino act to perform at Lollapalooza. That makes the performance bigger than representation. It becomes a live audition on an international stage. Can 5 Filipino performers turn unfamiliar listeners into curious listeners? Can curiosity become applause, recognition, and eventually fandom? That is where live performance becomes commercially powerful. Why imperfections can actually make SB19 more believable. There is a powerful truth about live music. Tiny imperfections can make a performance feel more authentic. A breath before a difficult note, a slight change in vocal texture, or recovery after intense choreography can reveal that something is happening in real time. That does not mean mistakes equal excellence. Technique, control, timing, and consistency still matter. but audiences often connect with performances that sound human rather than mechanically perfect. This is where SB19's live identity becomes compelling. Their strongest stages are not simply studio recordings reproduced word for word. They create moments that belong to that specific audience and night. A recording preserves a song. A live performance creates a memory. The real win. They don't need to sound perfect to sound great. SB19 does not need perfect vocals to prove excellence. They need control, emotion, endurance, individuality, and the ability to make audiences believe every performance is happening right now. That is their real advantage, not sounding manufactured, but sounding alive. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like, share, and subscribe for more.